So this is Shoemaker Spring Trail, and it's doable, I think, with a stock Jeep. If you had something that had street tires on it, you might want to think twice. Or if you're feeling bold, which I always have. I mean, I used to take a Suzuki Samurai that was basically stock in the craziest places, and I just didn't even care. I was just young, just making whatever decisions. So if you want to try it, great, but I would say, have a little bit of recovery gear and maybe come out with somebody, so that you don't end up stranding yourself here. But with like a stock Rubicon, I think this is totally fine. Even a 4-door just on stock, the stock Rubicon 33-inch tires, be a little bit more challenging because it's a pretty narrow trail and there are a few tight turn sections, but still, I mean, I'm talking about doable as opposed to, a cakewalk, right? Like, I think if you want to get out in your off-road vehicle, you want to challenge yourself a little bit. So that's my take on it. Well, we're definitely doing it in this. Come what may. And I do have some recovery gear for self-recovery if I have to, but, let's hope it doesn't come to that. And at least there's some trees and stuff that if I really had to winch myself out of something, I got a shot. This trail up to the right is kind of an unnamed trail. I don't know. I'm sure it's a doable off-road trail. It doesn't look like on the trail map that it really connects to anything, but I'm sure it does, because I've seen, oh my god, it's crazy out here. It's like there's so many different trails just shooting off and to the left, to the right, here, there, everywhere. So maybe some other time when I'm back here, because I really like this area a lot, I'll do a little exploratory back on some of these offshoot trails. It'll be like just kind of a offshoot video or something. So just for me, like, this trail, or this section of this trail, is, I don't want to say it's at the upper end of my capabilities, but it's at least midway. Like, even on trail rides, a lot of times I don't do a ton of this, like most trails around that I access, at least to this point. I mean, there's a lot of challenge out there, in the off-road world, even and especially out here in Arizona, especially as you go north of where I'm at, down near Phoenix. There's some of this, but I just haven't done a lot of it yet. So this is a fun little trail, man. Oh, the amount that I've aired down my tires is totally acceptable to me. It softens up the ride quite a bit. I drive with harder tires when I'm like out on the pavement, and normal tire pressure. To me, my sweet spot's right around 43 pounds in these 33-inch tires. It varies, you know, as you get bigger tires, you know, you sometimes need to make different decisions about your tire pressure, but that's what I like in these. I like to run a little bit of a harder tire pressure. This little hole up here to the left, I just want to be a little careful about it. There we go. Sure, my vehicle's going to be all like scraped up when I get done with this, but I don't really care. So if you're not hearing me talk a lot about pinstriping and stuff, it's because I could care less. So here we got a little, we're down in a little bit of a wash, but I'm pretty certain that the trail goes up to the, yeah, it does. It goes up to the left here. Sometimes on trails there's sort of two options, but not on this one. I'm sure I could drive down the wash and then I'd be down it a little ways and be like, where am I? So this is a little tricky thing here, for me anyways. Just gonna go nice and slow because this thing might get a little, I'm gonna try to miss this rock up in front here with my, at least my front diff. And usually if I think something's gonna hit my front diff, I'll line it up between, depending on which side it is, I'll line it up and then I'll drive straight through it until I feel like my back tires are getting kind of even with it, so that when I cut the steering wheel, you know, I know where the position of that rock is related to my rear axle. And I don't know if that does or doesn't make sense, but that's what I do. Well, here's an example of something. A little bit of water got to this little guy right here. I mean, it's a tiny little puddle, but I wasn't sure I was going to see any results from yesterday's rain event at all today. But so there's a little bit, and you can see it's a little bit wet on this hillside. Oh, here's a little water crossing. All right. I'm going to stay to the left of it because I'm definitely off trail somehow. I need to get out and take a look. This looks hairy. This might end up being a turnaround point. I do not know, but I'm gonna take a look before I do anything. So I'm in a bit of a spot. Onyx shows me as being slightly off the trail, so I'm gonna have to backtrack a little bit because this looks sketchy to me. Like, pretty sketchy. Like, there's no way I'm making it, you know, with my breakover angle and stuff like that in a stock Rubicon. Making it up this thing, it's a little skinny but doable. You know, I'd kind of ride straight up and then cut the wheel kind of hard, and just sort of go nice and slow and let my front tires slide down a little bit and then take it off there, which definitely looks like it is skinny. I mean, it definitely, and I'm not sure that coming up through here, through this wash, is the actual trail either. So I'm going to do a little bit of backtracking. You know, the Jeep's on a pretty good angle right now. Update, so this is a fail for me. I've made it, let's see, about half of this trail and I got to turn back. And here's the reason why. Because even though I'm prone to making questionable decisions, it's just not a good idea for me out here by myself, no cell service. I do have a GMRS radio and I'm hitting a repeater that's, I don't know, maybe 7 to 10 miles from here, but it's still not a good idea. You know, I probably would try that because I think that crossing that I showed is where the trail goes, and I would totally do that with support. You know, somebody to like help me hook up my winch me out, pull me backwards, help me in some way, or if I got stranded, you know, I would give it a try, but not by myself. That it's just not smart to do that. And I want somebody out here who's been on this trail before to do that, you know. And so I'm a little bummed that I didn't make it the whole way on the trail, but I'm really happy that I'm out here adventuring and trying and learning this area and stuff like that. And I think even if I had 35s and a lift, maybe if I had 35s and a 2.5 inch lift, you know, that may make a big difference in what I feel confident with. But and maybe that's what's coming in the future, I don't know. You know, I'm just learning this area and stuff and what's accessible to me right now with a stock Rubicon, so we'll see what happens. But for now, that's it for this trail, the Shoemaker Spring trail, and I only got about half of it done before I had to turn back. You know when man's got to know his limitations, and these are mine right now with what I've got.